Hello, I see some people joining in. अभी 3 मिनट बचे हैं, so we are gonna start shortly. Hi. Hi. Hi पवित्रा. मुझे पता नहीं चल रहा है कि कौन ऑनलाइन है. I can just see that there are these many number of people who have joined in, पर मैं ये नहीं देख सकती कि किसने ज्वाइन किया है. तो if you can just type in a hi, तो I would know who's online. दो मिनट और. Hi Sidra. Hi Mahima. Oh, Mahima is also here. Very nice. Hi Stuti. Hello Prakriti. Makes me so happy you all are here. I hope we are able to do this well. Can we use an ordinary pen? Yes, of course. Actually, मैंने already ordinary pen भी निकाल के रखा है because brush pen से we can make brush strokes and we can बना के, but we'll do that जैसे जैसे workshop जाती है वैसे वैसे we'll do it. This is I don't know what English should I use. What language should I use? English या हिंदी किस में बात करूं? If you can tell me. Hello, English. All right. I also thought English better होगा because I had some people from other countries asking if they could join. So I think all of them would be able to understand better in English. So okay, we'll use English. It's time. But there are still just 24 people. I'm assuming कि people don't know where to come. So I will quickly tell them maybe I'll just send a link to everybody who registered. Any language you're comfortable with. Thank you. I'll just quickly send the link to everybody because a solo ने ज्वाइन करना चाहिए था. 10 बज गए हैं. We still have around 30 people. मुझे लग रहा है कि शायद सबको नहीं पता चला कि कहाँ आना है. That's okay. It is normal because people are not used to it. So I think I'll just send another email to everybody. Bear with me. Please bear with me because मैं चाहती हूँ कि सब लोगों को पता हो इस मतलब जिन्होंने भी रजिस्टर किया है, it will only be fair. So I'll just put the link on my Instagram maybe. है ना, वहां से usually सब लोग देख लेते हैं. And then we will start. I hope everybody has supplies. वैसे ज़्यादा कुछ चाहिए तो नहीं इसके लिए. We just need a paper and a pen or a brush pen or a pencil. Let's see if the link is working. Yes, it is. Now I'm relieved. Everybody can come online and watch. Okay, that is done. Hi Rupal. Hello. Hi Soumya. Hi Prachi. Okay, Avivi, not everybody's in, but we will start. मुझे लग रहा था this will be more communicative, but I see that you can only type in और मुझे मतलब I have to look at the screen to read. But okay, we'll start. Just tell me, just type in and tell me if you are able to see this, okay? Hi Reva, I hope you're well. Okay, so we will start with the basic strokes because basic strokes are the building block for brush lettering. हमें ध्यान रखना है, मैंने हमेशा बोला है कि हम लाइंस वाली नोटबुक यूज करेंगे एंड लाइंस वाली नोटबुक इसलिए यूज करेंगे क्योंकि हमें कोई भी लेटर फॉर्मेशन के लिए 3 ब्लॉक्स चाहिए जिसमें ये बेसिकली 3 लाइंस हैं 1 2 3 4 तो ये 3 ब्लॉक्स हैं जिसके अंदर वी हैव टू राइट और बिल्ड आवर लेटर्स जो ये वाली लाइन है इसको हम डिसेंडर बोलते हैं जो ये वाली लाइन है इसको हम कैप हाइट बोलते हैं ये सब जानने की जरूरत नहीं है बट इट्स गुड टू नो जो ये वाली लाइन है इसे हम एक्स हाइट बोलते हैं और जो ये वाली लाइन है इसे हम बेस लाइन बोलते हैं तो इन लाइंस का फंडा क्या होता है हमें कोई भी जो लेटर होता है कोई भी लेटर फॉर्म करने के लिए ये 4 चीजें ध्यान में रखनी होती हैं जैसे हम लिखते हैं अगर फॉर एग्जांपल से English I'm sorry I'm sorry Anusha I will continue in English so for to write any letters we have to keep these 4 lines in mind reason being for example if we write an A then it can be between the x height and the base height. So whatever is the center part of the letter comes between these 2 lines. For example, an A. Okay. And then if we write a B, then because it is an extended letter, because it's not just as small as A, it extends. So we write a B wherein the extended part of the B goes till the cap height which is on the upper block and then the middle part of the letter goes between the x height and the base which is the circle of the B or an oval of the B. And then for letters like for example G wherein there is an extended part but on the downside the below part goes till the descender the lower block, and then the middle part remains here in the center between the X side and the base. So this is the basic reason we have these four lines, and we are going to learn to draw our basic strokes also between these lines. So you can either keep drawing these lines, or you can take a ruled notebook and you can just practice in the ruled notebook, because the lines are already there, so that becomes easier. That's why I always suggest to take a ruled notebook. If we now look at the basic strokes between these lines, so the first basic stroke is an upstroke, which remains between the base and the X height. When you're practicing this stroke, I would say try to make it a little curvier instead. It's okay if you practice it being a straight line, but it's better if you make it a bit curvier. So, like, a little curvier. But of course, to start with, it's okay if even you make it a straight line. And then for the downstroke, also, you can practice it in between the mid block, or you can practice it from top to bottom, as as you like. For the overturn, try to keep it in the mid block. Again, again, if you see that you have problems making an overturn, it usually happens that people who are starting, they can't form tiny, like little small size very easily, but they can form bigger sizes very easily. So you just have to increase the height of all the three blocks, and then you can make it in the three blocks. So this, it doesn't matter how big it is, you can make it as big as you want, as much as comfortable for you. In my experience, I have generally seen that people who make it bigger when they're beginning with brush lettering, if they make the blocks bigger, it's easier for them to make it, because then they can see how their pen is going, and it's more, they can control the pen movement more. So if you want to make it, like, here I have made it smaller, it's just this much. Here I've made it a little bigger, so you can do like an upstroke or a curved upstroke, a downstroke, an overturn, an underturn, a compound curve, oval, opposite oval. Now comes the basic strokes, which goes on the cap height and also on the descender, and those will be, if you start, it's an ascending loop, so you can make them like this, or it is a descending loop. Sorry, descending should be here. So you see the reason we have different blocks. This is the reason. And then we usually, I like to call it a wave. It's not really one of the defined strokes, but it's very useful. So if you can practice this, it can come in really handy. It's like you start without pressure, and then you come downwards, apply pressure, move your brush a little, move forward and release pressure. It's a little difficult to crack, but for some beginners it becomes really easy as well. So I think it depends on your comfort level. We use this for letters like an X or like a K. So this can come in really handy. And then there's a dot, which you can just, a little pressure and move forward, there becomes a dot. We also use a straight line a couple of times for letters like T. So I always suggest to practice straight line as well. Um, you can also, instead of a straight line, make like a wave, like a horizontal wave. That also comes in handy. Another thing to keep in mind for beginners, I would say, is to know how to hold your brush pen and to know how to keep your paper in regards to your brush pen. I hope it's visible to everybody, and I hope I'm clear enough, because I don't see any, I don't see anything happening in the comment section. If you have any questions, please write down in the comment section because there is no way for me to know that you all are able to see it. How to hold the brush pen? Yes, I'll tell you. Somebody is asked to show how to do the X, the X thing again. So what I like to call it, I like to call it a wave. So you can call it a wave if you want. So yes, how do I do it? So no pressure when you're starting. Move forward, go downwards, and then move a little backward and release pressure. So instead of going straight, you're going at an angle. Another thing which I can suggest you as a beginner, things that I would like to suggest you as a beginner would be, don't shy away from using a pencil. A lot of us, is it visible now? Because I don't know where you're watching this, but I have a screen open in front of me, and I'm trying to see that everything is visible to everybody. I can see the screen. Yeah, okay, good. Another thing I was saying that is, which really comes in handy for beginners, will be using a pencil. Do not shy away from using a pencil. It comes in really handy, especially because you're a beginner. Even people who do commission lettering pieces use pencil all the time. That way you are able to practice better, and you're able to save a lot of paper and ink, and it will be very less frustrating. So you know what the basic strokes are. You need to know how the basic strokes are made, and where it has to be thick, where it has to be thin. So we are going to show that right now. We are going to do that, and I'll also show you how the pencil comes in handy. Sorry. So for an upstroke, we'll do with a pencil first. This will also be part of for calligraphy, because you can now see without a brush pen how you can still do brush lettering. So for an upstroke, we go up. So whenever we go from bottom to top, we do not apply pressure. I don't know if it is visible. So no pressure on an upstroke. On a downstroke, we apply pressure. This is a downstroke. We have started from here and we end here, and we go in a downward direction. Always remember this. This is the basis. Everything is dependent on these two things. Going up is no pressure. Going down, apply pressure. This is the basis of the whole calligraphy structure. You have to keep this in mind. So as you can see, when I'm going up, there is no pressure. When I'm coming down, there is pressure. When there is pressure, the strokes become thicker. That's the intention. Now, how do we do this without using a brush pen? What's there in brush pen is the tip of the pen is really flexible. Because it is flexible, if you go up and you're not applying pressure, automatically the strokes are thinner. But if you go down, because it is flexible, more part of the nib is going to touch the paper, and it's going to become thicker. You can do the same thing without using a brush pen. How? If you go up, anyways, the line is going to be thin, right? But if you come down, it'll be the same. But because you know that it has to be thicker, you can just make it thicker by filling it up. And this is the logic that we are going to apply for using a regular pen for brush lettering. Now, the other stroke that we did was an overturn where we start without pressure, go up, and then come down with pressure. We are going to do the same with the regular pen. We go up, no pressure, we come down and we apply pressure. Now, this looks the same, but we know when we are coming down, we have to apply pressure. So, we are going to make this look thicker by just filling it in. And voila, without a brush pen, you have made this stroke. As I was saying, that it is very handy for beginners to use a pencil. So what you can do is, a lot of times when you're beginning, you can't really keep these two lines parallel. The key is to keep these two lines parallel, and it is the key for most of the strokes. You have to make sure that these lines are parallel. The basic mistakes that a beginner makes when they start doing calligraphy is that the lines are not parallel. So what starts happening is, instead of it being like this, they end up making it like this or like this, which is not right. So, how to crack this as a beginner? As a beginner, you can make your stroke with the pencil. That way, if it is not parallel, if you see that it is not parallel, you can use a rubber and an eraser to erase it and correct it. So once you make it with a pencil and then you know that you have to fill it in, this is how you can practice your strokes better as a beginner. I know this is more time consuming, but this is so much more effective when it comes to practicing. Once you have made it with the pencil, you can just use your brush pen to go over it. So it's more like tracing, but it is absolutely fine because you're learning. And then you would know where your brush has to go, and it's going to come out so much cleaner. This is going to take more time, but I can tell you all, the more practice you do, the better it is. Because what happens is, when you practice a lot, your memory of the muscles in your hands build up. Automatically your hands start knowing what to do. Automatically, after a few months of practice, your muscles are going to remember that they don't have to apply pressure when they're going up, and then automatically your strokes are going to be thinner when you're going to go up. That's why with practice you become better, because your muscle memory in the hand develops. So that's one of the things that you have to keep in mind and that you have to practice. That would be using a pencil and practicing as much as you can to build the muscle memory. So these are the two strokes that we saw how we can do using a regular pen. Another one would be an underturn, which starts from pressure and then slowly you start releasing pressure. The same thing if you have to do with the regular pen. Now you are going to make an underturn, and then you can see that you have to go thick here. So you just make it thicker here, and then you just fill it up. It's pretty easy, right? So even if you don't have brush pen yet, or you don't know if you want to buy them yet, this is another thing. It's called for calligraphy, and you can just do it. All you need to know is, you need to know where to start from and where to apply pressure. If you know where to start from and how to start, then you know how to apply pressure. So in this one, we start from here, and then you go downwards where you apply pressure, because every time you go down, you apply pressure, and then you go upwards, you release pressure, there is no pressure, and here you end it. If you want more information about this, then I have also made videos about this. There is a playlist on my channel called Brush Lettering for Beginners. You can watch that that playlist, there are videos which are clearly depicting how you can use, or they are also labeled like these, so you can always have it. Show the undertone with brush pen again. Sure. So you apply pressure, you go downwards, you move forward, and you slowly start releasing, and then you come upwards. So this point somewhere here is when you start releasing pressure, and you have to gradually release pressure, because if you're not going to release pressure gradually and you're going to release pressure all of a sudden, what will happen is this. And we don't want this. We want a nice curve, right? So to have a nice curve, you have to slowly release pressure and you have to move forward and then go upwards. If you slowly release pressure, move forward, then you get this curve. Another thing again here that you have to keep in mind, like this one, these lines have to be parallel with each other. These are the basic mistakes, the common mistakes that we do as beginners, that we don't keep in mind that these lines have to be parallel. Okay, all right. Now we are going to do one of the tricky ones, which is a compound curve. So, how do we write compound curve? We start without pressure, we go upwards, no pressure, slowly move forward, come downwards, apply pressure, slowly release pressure, go upwards without pressure. I'll do this again. You go upwards, no pressure, you come downwards with pressure, you move forward, you go upwards again, no pressure. Now, I can already see the mistakes here. One is this is not really straight, it's a little wobbly, but it's okay. How can we fix this when we are practicing? It's a really difficult one to make. So, you can fix this by using a pencil. So, we can make a very smooth compound curve with a pencil, and we know that it has to be thicker here. So what we are going to do now is we are going to take our brush pen and trace over it. We go upwards, no pressure, apply pressure, release pressure, go upwards. So what we did, we started from here, and because we have to go up, there is no pressure. Then we come forward, we start applying pressure, we go down, and then we come up again, and there's no pressure, and here is where we end. Now, if you can see, it came out so much better because we were using a pencil trace, because we knew how to move our pen. So another thing to keep in mind here is, I don't know if you noticed, but all the lines are really parallel to each other here as well. These two have to be parallel. That's how it's going to look good, because as beginners, what we tend to do is we tend to do this, or we tend to do this. It's a very common mistake, but we should not be doing it. It doesn't really look so nice. Same thing how we can make with a regular pen. So we know we have to move like this, and then we know this area is thicker, and then we just fill it in. So for calligraphy, it's pretty simple. So even if you don't have a brush pen, if you have a regular pen, it's just really easy. That's not the right way to do, Anusha. You're saying you're a lefty, so you're getting pressures in the opposite way. It doesn't matter if you're a lefty or a righty, because there are a lot of lettering artists who are also lefty, but it will not help you. You have to keep in mind the basic rule. So you have to really practice with the pressures. Everybody does. It does not really matter if you're a lefty or a righty. It's just that the way you hold the pen becomes a little different. But because I am a righty, I can't really show you how to hold a pen if you're a lefty. But I've seen a lot of artists holding their pen from the top, but I don't know if that is comfortable for you. But Anusha, I think you really have to, you will have to figure it out yourself, because even when we are holding the pen, it comes with time. We it takes some time for us to realize, okay, which is the best way to sit, which is the best height on the table practice, because then you get start getting a better idea of how you have to make it. Another stroke will center, we move up, we come down, and we end it here. The reason we start from the center is because it then becomes easier for us to match it. So we go like this, and then we start applying pressure, and we come downwards, start releasing pressure, and join again. Again, a little tricky. So it is a great thing if you can just use a pencil to do it. That way, you know where you're going. And this is also for calligraphy. As you see, we know which part is thicker, so we just fill it in. And then you take your brush pen and then go over it. I always from the center, so try to start it from the center. Then just becomes easier for you to join it. Voila, that's the oval. Now, one of the things that I would like to maybe mention right now is how to hold your pen. You have to make sure that your pen is at an angle. You're not holding it like this, because if you hold your brush pen like this, then it really affects the tip of the pen and it gets frayed quite easily. So you have to hold it at an angle, preferably a 45-degree angle. It has to be about 45 degrees, which again will come to you with practice. And then another thing is, you have to keep in mind that your pen is parallel to your paper. So for me, this is the best position. The way I'm sitting, it is not straight, but I'm a little tilted. You have to figure it out yourself for how you have to sit. All you have to make sure are the two things: that your pen is at an angle, and that your pen is parallel to your paper, because then it becomes very easy to control the pen. And the easier it is to control the pen, the easier it will be for you to not apply pressure and to apply pressure. When going up from down, we have to turn the nib of the pen a bit so that the upstroke becomes thinner. When going up from down, no, you don't have to. No, you don't have to. I'm not moving my pen a lot. But if that helps you, well, great, Amarjot. If it helps you that way, because maybe it depends on the kind of pen that you're using. If, like, the pen that I'm using has a pretty stiff nib, agils are also good with this. They don't have a very flexible nib, so you don't really have to move the pen around a lot. That's why I suggest agils for beginners. But if that works for you, you can continue doing that, because uh, if you move on from pen to pen slowly, you will start realizing that it does not really matter if you're turning your pen a lot. You turn your pen only because your tip is way too flexible, and it changes shape, in my experience. So we are done with O. Now we are going to move to the ascending loop. So for the ascending loop, you start from here, do not apply pressure, come down and apply pressure. So a lot of people start from the wrong place and end up making an ascending loop like this, or they apply pressure and go upwards. You do not have to do that. Always remember, going up means no pressure. Thank you, Aviral. So you start from here, and then you go up and there is no pressure. Then you go down. When you go down, there is pressure. So I'll do this again, a little bigger for everybody to see. So we started from here, no pressure, came down, applied pressure, and the same thing can easily be done with a regular pen. You just fill it in where it is thicker. Easy peasy. Now we move to another one, which is the descending loop. I'm going to drink a little water. I'm parched. So yes, now we're going to start with the descending loop. So you start from the top, you come downwards, no pressure, go upwards. So here we started from here and we ended here. Because we came down, it became really thick. And then we started moving up, it became really thin. I'll draw the contrast of it here, which is used to make cube. So that is also descending loop, but in opposite direction. So again, we started from here and then we applied pressure. So it becomes thick. We go up, no pressure. Now, what's the difference between this and the ascending loop? Ascending loop, we start from here and then we go up, no pressure. So ascending loop, we start with a thin stroke. And descending loop, we start with a thick stroke. Now, I think by now, everybody who's trying to do it with a regular pen is it knows that we can do this easily with the pen as well. So that's it. And then we are going to do the wave again, the X thing. Maybe I can show it better. So you start without pressure, just touch it, move a little forward, come downwards with pressure and move a little ahead and release pressure. So we start here without pressure and then we go down and we apply pressure and then we stop here. The descender oval should touch the baseline. No, it should not touch the baseline. Instead, it should touch the descender. So that's a good question. Maybe I can make it here. So you have your 4 lines. This one is the X height. This one is the baseline. The descender means it is descending, it's coming down. So the descender should be here. Your question is if it should touch the baseline here, I assume, but it doesn't have to. It can, for example, you make it like this and you make like a big, have to make a G out of it. So what happens is you make an oval here. So it doesn't look very neat because there are two big. So what you can do is if you think it's really easy for you to make it when you're touching the baseline, try to make this loop a little thin so that when you make the oval of the G, this and this, there's a clear difference in the size. However, if you don't touch the baseline, then also it's absolutely fine. These are the things which you are going to use to develop your own style, I would say. So the answer to your question would be it can touch the baseline like it is doing here, or it may not touch the baseline like it is doing here. But make sure not to do it like this, where the loop is really big, because then it is not going to look very clean and neat, because the oval of the G is also going to be very big. I hope that answers your. That's absolutely fine, Sakshi. We have already moved a little. Well, I hope you can catch up. If you have any questions, just write them in. So that's that. Now, to make like a T, we can either use a straight dash or we can use a wave. You can even use essay wave. So that's something that you can really choose on, doesn't really matter. But don't shy away from using a pencil, and don't shy away from using these lines. You just have to keep in mind that these four lines are just going to guide you in making the letters, which we are going to do now. So yay, we are done with the basic strokes. We are going to start with making letters now. If you have any questions, then just let me know. You can always start with marking lines, or as I mentioned earlier, if you have a ruled notebook, nothing like it. That's it'll be great to have a rule notebook, because then you don't have to spend your time marking all these four lines. But make sure that you are not doing it on a plain paper, because then you don't really know where you're going, or if you're doing it right or not. And as a beginner, it is very important for you to be aware of what you're doing or what you're making. Okay, we are ready. So what we are going to do is, now we are going to start with making letters which are the easiest to make. I will do different variations of those letters. For example, let's start with an I. So I don't know if it is visible to you, but I'm using this sheet, but on top of that, I'm using another sheet, and it's pretty translucent, so I can see the tracing. I can see the lines. So I was saying we'll start with making an I. So for an I, there are different variations. One is when you're beginning and you want a little confidence in making the letters, what you can do is just do a downstroke and then a dot. So this one is downstroke plus a dot. Another one would be to do an underturn, and you can stop here, and a dot. So this is an underturn and a dot. And then to this, you can add the upstroke, the curve one that we were discussing at the starting of the workshop. So if you add an upstroke, make an underturn, add a dot. Now, many times when you're beginning, it is not easy to first add the upstroke, because then you'll have to make sure that you're made the underturn first and then added the upstroke, because then you would know where to draw it or how to. How do we do this in for calligraphy? You make the underturn. You know that it has to be thicker here, so you make it thicker here, and then you just fill it in. Then you can add this. Another easy peasy letter to make is an L. So what you can do is, you can start from the ascending loop. You start from the ascending loop, and then you can add this. Or if you're confident enough, you can directly do this. So this one is like a ascending loop, and this is an extension of ascending loop and the underturn. Easy, right? Same thing if you have to do for calligraphy. You just make an L, and you know it has to be thicker in the downstroke, and then you just fill it in. That is, let's say we have to make a K. We're going to use this, which is an ascending loop. So we make an ascending loop, Now we are going to do an upstroke, the curved upstroke, and here we are going to do the wave that we were talking about. So it's like this. Then we add the ascending loop. So what all have we used here? We have used this, plus we have used uh, an ascending loop, plus we have used another upstroke, plus we have used the wave. That's how we made our K. If we have to do the same thing with a regular pen, we just make this, and we know that we have to make this one thicker, so we fill it in. We go upstroke, and then we go wave, and then we fill this in. You have to look at it, Khushi. Uh, you just have to, you don't have to make a perfect 45-degree, of course, but you know what a 90-degree is. It's like this. So a 45-degree would be half of it, so it has to be half of 90-degree. It's just that. It's as simple as that. Now we are going to do an H. So we start again with an ascending loop. We go down and we make a compound curve. Then you can add this. So what did we do? We did an ascending loop. Plus in the end, we just added a swoosh upstroke. That's how we made the H. If we have to do the same thing with the regular pen, we make the compound, this one thicker, fill it in. We know we have to go thick here. We make this thicker, fill it in. Voila. So this is a breakup of IKLH. I think it's pretty clear on what we are doing. So I'm going to continue. If you have any questions, just write them down. Then we start with J. For J, we do a descending loop. We add a dot and we add a curve upstroke. If you want, you can extend this. So what did we do here? We added a descending loop plus an upstroke and a dot. I said this in the starting of the video that it's always good to do with a pencil as a beginner, because then you know where your pen is going and you have a better control on it. It's just a little time consuming, so a lot of people don't like it, but you're free to. If you have to do the same thing with the regular pen, we just make the J. We know that we have to thick here, so we fill it in. And here is a J with a regular pen. So we have done I, J, K, L, H. So we are going to now start with A, and we are going to continue doing that. So for A, we make an oval and we do an underturn. And then you can add an upstroke. So how did we make an A? We make an oval, we know underturn, we know while going, so we fill it in. So here's an A with a regular pen. For a B, we do and we do a reverse oval, and you can add this. So we did an ascending loop plus an oval plus an upstroke. If you're beginning and it's difficult for you to make ascending loop, you can also make B with a simple downstroke. Is also a way to make. We have to do the go thick here. You fill it in, and then you fill it in. That's it. We have to make an oval, but we don't have to complete an oval. So you start, you go down, but don't join them. And that's it. That's our C. My upstroke is always different than last one. I don't know which one is correct. Kushi, it's just an upstroke. So as long as it is thin, it's correct. Can you please show the A again? Yeah, sure. So for an A, you make an oval. You can just add an upstroke. You're welcome, Kushi. So we were at C. So we just did the C, and now we're going to do the D. Maybe I can show the for calligraphy of C first. So it's just incomplete oval. You know, you have to go thick here. Voila, that's the C. For D, you have to make the reverse oval, and then you can make the with a underturn and add swoosh to it. Plus, we added the ascending loop with the and then add an underturn, like a bigger underturn, like a downstroke converting into an underturn, and add a swoosh to it. So again, the same funda for calligraphy. You just make it thicker where you see that it is thicker, where you know that it has to be thicker because it is a downstroke. Same for this one. Voila. Easy peasy. And then we are going to do an E. So for an E, it has to be like a C. Hey, money. With just a dash added to it. So you do a C plus a dash plus an upstroke. It becomes your E. C dash upstroke. Now, why make a dash in the E and we don't just make it like a loop is because if you like where there are a lot of loops. For example, there is this and then this and then this and then this and then this. So it becomes really in the beginning it's really not easy to differentiate between your E and your L. So if your E is going to be like this and then your L comes in, then there is a very clear difference between your E's and your L's. So that's that. Can I please show D again? Yeah, sure, I can show D again. So for a D, you make an oval. You can do an ascending loop with an extended and then add like this, or you can just make an oval. You can do a downstroke with the combination of underturn and add an upstroke. Now we're going to do an F. For an F, you can either make going down to descending loop and then dash and this upstroke. That's an F. If you have to do the regular pen, it's so. Wherever it is thicker, now we'll make a G, one of my favorites. Make an oval. The you can extend it if you want, and we added a descending loop and we added an upstroke. Why are we adding the upstroke in the end? Because in the beginning, if you're starting up, it becomes easier for you to add the upstroke where you know where it has to go and you don't have to align every other stroke with regards to your upstroke. And overturn, then you do another overturn, and then you do a compound curve. And this is your M. So we did an overturn, we did another overturn, and then we did a compound curve. It will be the same with the for calligraphy with the regular pen. You know, you have to go thick here because you're going down, so thicker. Here also going down, so thicker. That's it. Then you have to do an N. For that, again, you have to do an overturn and then a compound curve. So what we did is we did an overturn plus we did a compound curve. For O, there are very many ways to do an O. You can just do a regular oval plus an upstroke and then maybe add, or you can start an oval to it and then an upstroke. So this stroke and an oval like this. That's another way, but I like this better. We're going to do a Q now. For a Q, you start with an oval again, you do a descending loop, you can add an upstroke and here. So we did an oval plus a descending loop plus upstroke. For R, I think the easiest way to do an R is a downstroke plus a small overturn. And then you can add this upstroke to it. This one was downstroke plus a small overturn plus this. But then there's another way to do it, which surprisingly people find a lot easier, is you start with an upstroke, you do a tiny underturn, and then you do another underturn. So for this, we did this plus this plus this. You can choose either. For start like this, but it is a one, which I think is easiest. You just have to do an underturn, and for you, it's again underturn plus underturn. For V, it's again quite simple. It's like an underturn, but with an angle. For W, it's again an underturn, another underturn ending with a loop. For X, we already showed it's the wave, and then you go up and up. For Y, it is underturn and a descending loop. And for Z, you just go straight line, you come downwards, and then you go straight line again. Those are our alphabets. Now we are going to learn how to add shadows. I hope you are interested in adding shadows because I think that gives your letters a good body. So what we do is you can either use a gray brush pen or you can use a pencil. What you have to keep in mind is when you're learning to add shadows is that you have to know where the light is coming from. For example, we do an upstroke and there is a downstroke, and the light is coming from this direction. So if the light is coming from this direction, it means it's falling like this. It's falling like this, so the shadow of this block is going to be here. Now we have to make this in our use, and we have to make the shadow behind this. It just has to be parallel. So what we will do is like this. So we add shadow at the back of the letter. Similarly for the upstroke as well. What you have to keep in mind is if this stroke is thicker, then its shadow will also be thicker because more of the element is going to be early. If the light is coming, for example, from another direction, if the light is coming from this direction, then the shadow will be so it will be here like this. Just 15 minutes, Madhvi, and then we will conclude it because this is really easy. I just want you to know the basic of the shadow and then you can practice it on your own. So you now know how to make the shadow based on the direction of the light. So if it is a letter, let's say it is an A, then you can just make the shadow in this direction. So you know that this is going to have a shadow here, this is going to have a shadow here, and this is going to have a shadow here. And this becomes the shadow of your lettering. I hope this was clear and it is easy. We will have another session, of course, a free workshop on shadowing and flourishing of the letters and different way to write the letters. So yeah, I guess stay tuned for that. If you have any questions about this session, then you can write down in the comments. A lot of people have asked to make this session available later. So I'm going to have this available later. And if you have any questions, you can just um, write it in the comments and I will answer them for you. Um, I hope it was a fun, interactive one for you because I really enjoyed it. So if you enjoyed it too, then please maybe ask your friends to subscribe as well. If you would have read the email, the reason I'm asking for people to subscribe is because I need 1,000 subscribers so that I can start taking workshops through my phone on YouTube because it's just so much easier, you know, from the phone you can have a better angle for giving a workshop. It becomes really restrictive when you're doing it from a laptop's webcam. So yeah, if you have any questions, you can just write it in the comment. If you still want to hang around and chat, I would love to do that because I love talking. If you have not realized it till now, so yes. Do you have any question with regards to something else? Anything, just if you want to share, I'm here. Thank you, Stuti. Thank you, Pavitra. I'm glad that you like it. I was very skeptical whether people are going to attend it or not, and I'm glad to see that a lot of you did. Um, yeah, so very happy, very happy about this um, whole workshop, YouTube workshop thing. It's fun for me. I hope it's fun for you too. I was planning to use the mic today, but unfortunately, I woke up really late and I did not have the time to do the whole mic setup, and that's why I did not use the mic today. But I will from next time, I promise. Um, Thank you so much, Kanasina. I hope I'm saying it right. Sorry. Can you help me shadows of letter J? Yes, as I said, I'll have another session, preferably next week. See, if I get on to 1,000 subscribers quite quickly, then I can have these sessions regularly on a weekly basis. But with the current situation, I think I can take one session per month. So I hope in the next session I'll do the shadowing and also the flourishing. Um, you're amazing. Thank you so much, Anusha. You are amazing. Thank you for coming. It would not be possible if you were not here. Uh, Thank you, Hushi. I'm glad you like it. I'm glad it was of help. Um, how did you start calligraphy? Well, I started calligraphy without knowing that this is called scribbling. And then for some reason, I Googled about the fonts because I knew that I was drawing letters, but I didn't know what it was called. I just knew fonts because, well, everybody knows what fonts are, right? So I was googling about fonts, and I came across this word, and I read about it, and I researched about it, and I got to know that, oh, there is a form of art for drawing words and for drawing letters. And then I researched more about it, and that's how I started with calligraphy. Um, this session really good and helpful. Thank you so much, Amarjot. I'm glad you like it, and thank you so much for asking questions. It's really good when people ask questions because then I know that you're following and that you need more clarity, and I would love to provide more clarity and share as much knowledge as I have. You're waiting for the session to come as videos. Yes, as I said, I'm planning to have this session be on my channel because a couple of other people also asked for it. This session is so helpful. Thank you so much for being here. Shafreen, thank you for coming here and learning. As I said, if you were not here, it would not really be possible. The session was good. Thank you, Sakshi. I'm glad you like it and you think that it was good. Just wanted to know how the brush pen you just wanted to know the brush pen you used in the session. I used a Karen brush pen. This is the brand. The reason I use this is because I'm most comfortable using these. With time and with the experiment, if you're going to check different brands of brush pen, you will get to start liking one which you're most comfortable with. So I would say, don't hesitate from trying new brush pens. Try different brands, and then you would know which one you like the most. For me, it's currents that I like the most and that I'm the most comfortable with. Uh, where was I? Thank you so much for the amazing session. You're very welcome, Reva. I'm glad you are here. I hope the session helped. Rupal, thank you. You're very welcome, Rupal. Uh, Love this session. Thank you, Write It Out. I loved this session as well. I loved giving the session, so I'm glad. Um, Daman, thanks. It was very helpful and interesting. Was it really interesting? That's a big compliment. I'm glad it was interesting. This is also my first time taking an online session. I usually take workshops here with people around me, so it's like more interactive because you know what you're talking about, and well, what you're talking about. I knew what I was talking about here also, but what I mean is what you talk when you're talking to somebody, they have questions right there, and you can just help them hold the pen. You can help them write. Physical sessions are completely different. This was my first online session, and it was quite interesting, but it went quite well as per my expectation. I was not sure what to expect. I was really nervous and hesitant because it's very different, but I really like it. I think it's because of you guys. So thanks. Hey Ashna, thank you for the workshop. My mother learned calligraphy and she's quite happy now. I'm glad that your mom came into. You know what? I think we should do a session just for parents who are interested, because I don't see a lot of parents learn, and it makes me so happy, Ashna, that your mom came in. Say my hi to your mom. Tell her that it was like I'm glad that she joined, and it's I don't know. It's just so much fun to know that a parent joined, because that doesn't happen a lot. At least well, yeah, actually, यहाँ पे तो a lot of parents join, but I've not seen workshops in India where parents join. And you said you're from India, so I'm really glad about that. Um, I guess that's it. If you like the session, please like this. There must be some like somewhere, so maybe you can like that. And yeah, I guess we will leave now because I don't have any more questions to answer. I don't see any more questions to answer. So, thank you all for joining, and hope to see you soon next time. Bye. It's interesting doing it. Thanks for that. Thanks, Shafreen. Thank you for commenting again. All right, then, guys. I really don't want to go. I want to keep talking, but I don't really have a lot of people who are talking, so I think I'll just go. Love from Sri Lanka. Love back to Sri Lanka. Okay, I think I'll go now.